if you are losing money with supply and demand, it is because you are looking at the wrong time frames. And I'm going to show you guys in this video the exact time frame analysis that I use with supply and demand to make money as a trader. And I can show you guys right now that I literally made $500 today using this exact strategy, okay? But you don't care about that. You care about learning how to trade supply and demand the right way. And I'm literally about to break down three different examples for you guys so you guys know exactly how to use supply and demand conjunction the right way. Now let me go ahead and zoom my camera out down so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. And let's get into it. Let's have some fun. So TWLO, we're going to start with that last. We're going to start with AMD. Now, as you guys know, supply and demand is key. Okay, supply and demand is how markets move. But do I look at the daily chart? Do I look at the 4 hour, the 1 hour, the 30-minute? How do I use those together to form my strategy and form my plan? Relax. I'm going to dive into all of that and break this down for you right now. So let's go ahead and start with AMD. Now, if we take a look at AMD, oh my God, let me go back. Now, what I'm about to show you guys with supply and demand, first off, let me first say, this is going to fix your trading. All right, this is going to completely fix your supply and demand. Now, when it comes to actual risk management, psychology, all that stuff you got to figure out on your own. I'm here to help you if you need help with that in my other videos, but this video specifically is just about supply and demand and time frame. Okay, so if you're struggling with those other things, stay tuned. At the end of the video, I'll show you how to fix those, but for now, we're going to focus on supply and demand in time frame. So let's take a look at AMD. Now you can see here we have a beautiful, beautiful daily demand zone. Okay, we have a nice drop, base, rally demand zone. Okay, let me go ahead and show you that. Drop, base, rally. Okay, we see get this fast, explosive move out. We'll leave this daily demand zone here just like this. Okay, now when price comes down to this demand zone, you guys know how to trade supply and demand. You guys just know that, okay, I get in long here at demand, set my stop to low, target the highs, blah, blah, blah. No, okay, that's not how I trade. It's not how I made $500 today. Okay, I didn't do it doing that. Here's how I did it. All right, so if we take a look at AMD on this example, now we're looking at a daily chart. Now when I trade supply and demand, I always start out on the higher time frame. So I look at the weekly, the daily, rarely the monthly, and like the 4 hour. Okay, I'm always going through these time frames up here, right? I'm always looking at daily, weekly, 4 hour. And so know that we're coming down into a daily demand zone. So now I need to ask myself, okay, we're coming into daily demand. Now I don't want to risk, 4 points on AMD. And I also want to get more specific. I want to have a better entry, better risk reward, and I want to have better confirmation that this demand zone is actually going to hold. And so that's where this effect comes into play. Now, after I found my zone on my daily, weekly, 4 hour, I then zoom in on the hourly 30, 15. Okay, so here's what's really interesting. Take a look at the 1 hour, 30, 15. Same thing with 2 hour, 3 hour, all that good stuff, right? And I'll go ahead and look at the 1 hour. So take a look at the 1 hour chart. Now you can see price comes down into demand. We bounce, we pull back, we bounce, we pull back, we bounce higher. Now again, yes, if you want to trade in a way where you can just get in, set your stop, set your target, walk away, you can do that. Now if you want a better risk reward and a much better confirmation that this demand zone is actually going to work out, here's what you want to do. You zoom into your smaller time frames and you wait for another demand zone or supply zone to form out of that original higher time frame zone. So you guys can see this is our daily zone, right? Daily demand zone. Now, if we notice, and I zoom in, what happens when price comes into demand? We get a nice explosive move out, right? And that shows us, hey, buyers are in control and there is more demand here. There's aggressive buyers here. That's more demand. And so what do we see that happens? We see another demand zone form. So take a look at this. We get another demand zone to form. Price pulls back into it, and we end up ripping right out of it. And the crazy thing is, if we take a look back at our daily time frame, this original zone, was up to the high that it made, was about a 1.4 risk reward. Now, if we were to get in on our smaller time frame hourly zone, our risk goes way down, our reward stays the same. We're looking at close to a 7R trade up to the highs. A 7R trade. And a better confirmation that this zone is actually going to work out because we came back in and held that demand. Okay? This is how I use multi-timeframe analysis. And before I show you some more examples, you guys need to understand that you need to look at all time frames. Okay, it is simply not going to work plain trades one-dimensionally. You need to look multi-time frame, multi-dimensionally. Okay, that's how stock markets work. That's how stocks move. It's crucial that you actually look at all these time frames. Okay, and the key thing here that you need to realize is that always play the higher time frame zones, but enter on the smaller time frame. Okay, always play the higher time frame zones, but you always want to enter on the smaller time frames. That's going to get you the best risk reward, the best win percentage, and you're going to see a lot more money in your bank account grow simply from trading this. So let me show you another example on Google. Okay, take a look here on Google. Now, if I take a look at the daily chart, and this is actually an example where a zone failed, but a trade still would have worked out. This is really key. So take a look here. Google, we have this beautiful daily demand zone. Look at this massive gap higher, huge gap up. For months on end, we end up consolidating, moving higher. We gap down on earnings. We end up squeezing all the way down here, right into our demand zone. Okay. Now, we look at our daily chart. Remember, daily, weekly, 4 hour to find our higher time frame zones. Then we do zoom in on the hourly, 30 and 15. So look at the hourly. When price comes down here, we don't really see much, right? So we want to zoom in on 30, same thing, and then zoom in on 15. 15-minute chart is where we actually see price action occur. So what do we see happen? We see price come down. Now again, same thing. If you want to just get long at the top of that demand, set your stop right at the low. You can go ahead and do that and make up to the highs. It would have been a 1.5 risk reward. Now, what else could we do? We zoom in on the 15-minute chart and we ask ourselves, is there another supply or demand zone forming out of this other higher time frame zone? Because again, remember, this is our daily zone. And what do we see happen? See another 15-minute zone occur right here, just like this. Okay, just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and make that green so it's easier to see. So this green is 15-minute. Okay, so what do we have here? Price comes in, we get a nice bounce out of demand, right? So now we're getting that confirmation that buyers are actually showing up here, right? So there's buyers showing up here. We form more demand, right? Engulfing, drop, base, rally, demand zone. And so what do? We come back down. Now we have a good entry for a scalp, right? We can get in here, set our stop loss right at the low, target the highs. This ends up being close to a 3R, about 2.6, 2.7 R trade. Okay, much better than the original one we had. And the crazy part is, this bigger zone ended up failing. Okay, you can see this price came down, we bounced, and we ended up going right below it. Right? But the thing that we have to realize is that because we had that smaller time frame confirmation, we had that zone inside of a zone, if you want to call it, that gave us a much better opportunity and a much better risk reward where we can still get a 2.6R trade and have this demand zone fail. Right? If we went for a 2.6R trade simply going off of this higher time frame zone, all the way up here, that zone never would have hit. We would have got stopped out. And so by looking at multiple time frames and trading the higher time frame, but getting entries and executing on the smaller time frame, that's going to give you the best risk reward and the best win percentage. Okay. And that's literally exactly how I made $500 today and how I've been making money for the past 2 years as a trader, as a full-time trader, right? It's not rocket science. It's simply understanding supply and demand, how stocks move, and combining that with multiple time frame analysis. Now, I want to show you guys one more example, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at TWLO, okay? This one doesn't have a lot of volume on it, but it's still a good example. So if I zoom in here, now this supply zone isn't the greatest, okay? You can see we kind of have a little pop, nice little move lower. Where is it here? Can't find my charts. Where is it? Here it is, right? So we have our we have a race, a base, and then a drop. Okay, sorry, we have a rally, a base, and a drop. Mix up my words. Rally, base, drop. So if we zoom in on ours, it's a little bit easier to see, right? Rally, a little bit of base, nice fast move higher. We leave a gap. Okay, now we take that entire day. That's going to be our supply zone right here, from the low to the high. So what do? Demand zone, higher time frame. Sorry, supply zone, higher time frame. Look, daily, weekly, 4 hour chart, right? That's what we look at. Then what do? We zoom in, 30-minute, 15-minute. You can even go down to a 5-minute and a 1-minute chart. That's how crazy this gets. Okay? 5-minute chart. what do we see happen? Price rallies higher. We tap supply just barely screech up there. And as price is going up there, what do we notice? We see prices making higher highs and higher lows, right? I'm going to draw this over here so it makes a little bit more sense. Okay, this is going to be our red supply zone. So we come up, we hit supply. Then what? We end up breaking demand and forming new supply. Okay, take a look. Stay with me. Just like that. We form new 5-minute supply out of that original supply zone tap. We also break demand in the process, right? We break this low here. We break this low here, right? We break this low here. Break all these lows right here. Then price comes out. Where do we go? Right in that supply zone. We get an insane risk reward, right? So instead of risking, what is this? 1.4 points, take a look at the short, we're only risking 25 cents, okay? And, the day is still going on, market's still open, but at this point, we're currently up 2.3R at the for the maximum return so far, right? But simply using this, you're not only going to get a better risk reward, but you're going to get better confirmation that this supply zone is going to work out. It simply makes sense, right? If you think about it logically, if price comes down to demand, and what's to say it doesn't just keep going lower, right? Whereas if we simply just wait and say, okay, let's just zoom in on a smaller time frame and wait for price to tell us that it wants to move higher, then we can just wait for the reaction, buy the pullback, and then get that move higher, okay? And all of this happens every single day on all time frames, right? I'm always zooming through the daily, weekly, 4-hour, finding my zones, and then zooming out and looking at the 1 hour, 30, 15, 5, and 1 minute. I'm zooming through all of these time frames all the time, seeing what's forming, seeing what's happening. Are we getting good zones come out of here, right? You could even draw this on a 15-minute chart if you want to be a little bit safer. Trade it like this. There's a million ways that you can play these stocks, okay? But showing you these 3 different examples and understanding that if you have multiple time frame analysis and you learn how to use it in conjunction with supply and demand, you can get some really, really solid trades out, okay? And like I said, that's how I ended up making the $500 today on NDX. Very simple, very easy strategy. If you actually learn this correctly and learn to trade the right way, you can make a lot of money. Now, again, this only works if you're actually trading with a proven strategy, okay? Because there are going to be times in the higher time frame where these zones aren't going to work, right? You got to know when to get in, when not to get in, right? If you just tried to get in on this zone here, actually it would have worked out, right? But then it would have failed. So you need to have a strategy that understands trend, market structure, other supply and demand, inferences, and how to make the best zones. And if you want to learn more about how I trade and my strategy and how all that works, I'm going to leave a free training for you guys in the description. So I actually made a free training. I'm going to leave it in the description. It's about 15 minutes long, showing you my exact 3-phase system I use as a trader. And honestly, that's going to be a big help to you in really understanding how I trade. And you can guys see how I work because it goes a lot more than just supply and demand and time frames. It goes a lot more in depth. So if you are interested in that, go ahead, click that first link in the description below. Comment, subscribe, other videos you guys want me to make. And I'll see you guys in the next video.